Hi everyone, Keith here. Today let's talk about narcissism. We hear that word narcissist used a lot these days, but what we're really talking about is narcissistic behaviour. Patterns of thinking and treating others that can cause real harm. Now, some people may meet that criteria for narcissistic personality disorder, but many don't. And that's not important, because you don't need a diagnosis for the impact to be real. So what does narcissistic behaviour actually look like? It can be obvious, a constant need for admiration. It can be a lack of empathy. It can be a refusal to take accountability. But often, it's much more subtle. It can look like manipulation dressed as concern. It can look like control disguised as just trying to help. Or someone rewriting events in a way that leaves you questioning your own memory. And that's where we start to see things like gaslighting, where your reality is slowly chipped away and replaced with theirs. And this is where the emotional impact really takes hold. Because over time, people are exposed to this kind of behaviour, often experience lots of self-doubt, chronic self-doubt. They begin to second guess even the simplest decisions they make. And they may have heightened anxiety, always anticipating the next conflict and next criticism, always just waiting for that next time something might happen or something might be said. They may experience emotional exhaustion because you're constantly managing someone else's mood. They may experience a drop in self-esteem. They start to believe the negative narratives that they're being fed. They start to question whether maybe they're the problem. And in the longer term situations, we can even see symptoms that mirror trauma response, PTSD. People can become hypervigilant. They have difficulty trusting others, and it can lead to emotional shutdown. This isn't just a difficult relationship. This can shape how someone sees themselves in the world. And it just doesn't affect the individual. It ripples outward. It affects friendships, parenting, workplaces, family relationships. Because when someone is constantly depleted, they have less of themselves to give. Now here's the part that matters the most. Why do you have to challenge this behaviour? Because if it goes unchallenged, it becomes reinforced. And when it becomes reinforced, this leads to escalation. And this escalation doesn't always play out dramatically. It can happen gradually. The comments may get a little sharper. The control gets a little bit tighter. And the impact gets a little heavier. Challenging it isn't about confrontation for the sake of it. It's about protecting your sense of self. This can sound simple, but it's actually really powerful. Making simple statements to someone who treats you like this, like, I don't agree with that, or that's not how I experienced it, or I'm not okay with being spoken to like that. And then after making those statements, you observe. Because the response to those statements tells you everything you need to know. Somebody who isn't narcissistic may pause, reflect, and even apologise. But entrenched narcissistic patterns, people who are narcissistic in their approach, they often deflect, they will deny, or actually turn it back on you. And that's when clarity starts to form. That's when you start to understand the kind of relationship you're in. So if you're on the receiving end of this, let's ground you for a moment. What you're feeling makes sense. The confusion, the exhaustion, the questioning of yourself. That doesn't come from nowhere. You haven't imagined this. So here's some real practical advice for you. Start to document your reality, even if it's just for yourself. It helps you anchor you when things become really distorted, and it gives you a point of reflection to what reality is. Reconnect with safe people who listen to you without twisting your words. Set boundaries and let people be fully aware of what the consequences for crossing those boundaries are. And expect resistance when you do that. That doesn't mean those boundaries are wrong. Limit how much you explain yourself. You don't need to justify your feelings or actions. You don't need to justify your feelings to be allowed to have them. And know this, you cannot fix someone who doesn't see a problem with their behaviour. No amount of empathy or patience or understanding will change somebody who isn't willing to look forward or inward. Sometimes the healthiest, strongest thing you can do is to create a distance, to step away. Now I know that's not easy, and it's easy for me to say, but staying somewhere that slowly erodes you, that slowly erases the person you are, that costs you far more. This isn't just about labelling people as being good or being bad. It's about recognising patterns, understanding the impact, and choosing to protect your well-being. Because at the end of the day, you are allowed to feel safe in your relationships. You should expect to be heard. and you should be allowed to remain without feeling diminished. If you're suffering with this, if you're in a relationship or you yourself identify as being narcissistic, please get help. Please don't ignore this. The effects are so damaging. And please share this with anyone you think may benefit from it. I'm Keith, I'm a mental health nurse, and thank you for listening.